Last Tuesday evening during our family dinner at my daughter Sarah's house, my 40-year-old son-in-law Michael looked me straight in the eye and told me that I was nothing but a burden on their family and that everyone would be better off if I just disappeared from their lives completely, because my presence was causing stress and financial strain that was affecting their marriage and their children's well-being. What Michael didn't know as he delivered his cruel and disrespectful ultimatum about my worthlessness and the negative impact of my existence on their family dynamics was that I am actually the anonymous owner of Thompson Manufacturing, the mid-sized industrial company where he has worked for the past 8 years, and where he recently received a promotion to regional sales manager that he believes is the result of his exceptional performance and professional abilities. I'm Frank Thompson. I'm 72 years old, and this is the story of how my arrogant son-in-law's shocking disrespect and his demand that I disappear from my own daughter's life led to the most devastating workplace revelation that will teach him that treating elderly family members like disposable burdens can have catastrophic consequences for his career and his financial security. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. The foundation of this family conflict begins 5 years ago when my daughter Sarah, who is 36 years old and works as a high school mathematics teacher, married Michael Rodriguez, an ambitious and confident sales professional who immediately established himself as the dominant decision-maker in their household and began implementing his vision of modern family management that prioritized efficiency, financial optimization, and social advancement over traditional values of respect for elders and family loyalty. Michael's approach to family relationships included clear expectations that all family members should contribute measurably to household success and prosperity, with little tolerance for what he characterized as outdated sentimentalities or unproductive emotional attachments that might interfere with their family's progress toward higher social status and improved financial position within their community and professional networks. During the early period of Sarah and Michael's marriage, my relationship with my son-in-law was cordial but distant, as I recognized his ambition and drive while noting his tendency to evaluate relationships based on practical benefits rather than emotional connections, loyalty, or the intrinsic value of family bonds that had been important to my generation's approach to marriage and family life. Sarah's happiness with Michael was evident during their first years together, and I respected her choice of partner while maintaining appropriate boundaries about their household decisions and parenting approaches, though I occasionally noticed Michael's impatience with family traditions and his preference for efficiency over the slower pace of extended family relationships and multi-generational gatherings. My wife Alina had passed away 3 years before Sarah's marriage to Michael, after a 42-year marriage that had been characterized by deep love, mutual respect, and shared commitment to building both financial security and strong family relationships through hard work, careful planning, and the successful development of Thompson Manufacturing from a small machine shop into a thriving industrial business that employed over 200 people. Thompson Manufacturing had been my life's work and primary source of pride, starting as a small business that Alina and I had built together through decades of sacrifice, innovation, and dedication to quality products and fair treatment of employees, eventually growing into a respected company that provided good jobs and contributed significantly to our local economy and community development. The decision to maintain my ownership of Thompson Manufacturing, while operating under corporate management structures that obscured my personal involvement, had been motivated by my desire to avoid nepotism concerns and to ensure that the company's success was based on merit and professional competence, rather than family connections that might compromise business relationships or employee morale. Michael's employment at Thompson Manufacturing had begun 8 years ago when he was hired as a junior sales representative based on his impressive interview performance and his bachelor's degree in business administration, without any knowledge of my ownership or my connection to Sarah, whom he wouldn't meet until 2 years later at a community event that had nothing to do with his workplace or professional activities. Michael's rapid advancement within Thompson Manufacturing had been based entirely on his legitimate sales performance and his ability to develop new client relationships and expand existing accounts, though his success had been supported by company policies and management decisions that reflected my commitment to promoting talented employees and rewarding excellent performance with increased responsibilities and compensation. The irony of Michael's professional success at my company, while simultaneously developing disrespectful attitudes toward me as his father-in-law, created a complex dynamic that I had observed with growing concern, particularly as his workplace confidence seemed to contribute to his sense of superiority and his diminishing regard for family members who didn't match his standards for productivity and social advancement. Michael's attitude toward my role in Sarah's life had gradually shifted from polite tolerance to active resentment, with increasing complaints about my presence at family gatherings and my influence on Sarah's decisions about household management, child-rearing approaches, and financial priorities that he believed should be determined exclusively by the nuclear family without input from older relatives. The first major conflict with Michael occurred 2 years ago when I offered to help Sarah and Michael with the down payment for a larger house that would accommodate their growing family and provide better schools for their children. But Michael rejected my financial assistance with arguments that accepting help from parents would compromise their independence and create unwanted obligations that might interfere with their autonomous decision-making. Michael's rejection of my financial offer was accompanied by lectures about modern family dynamics and the importance of self-reliance, along with suggestions that my generation's approach to family relationships was outdated and potentially harmful to healthy marriages that should be based on partnership between spouses rather than dependence on extended family resources or guidance. Sarah's disappointment about Michael's refusal to accept my help with their house purchase was evident, though she supported her husband's position while privately expressing frustration about their continued financial struggles and their inability to move to a better neighborhood that would provide improved educational opportunities for their children and greater social advancement for their family. The tension between Michael's pride and their practical financial needs became a recurring theme in family conversations, with Sarah caught between her loyalty to her husband and her appreciation for my willingness to help their family achieve goals that were difficult to accomplish through their combined incomes alone. Despite Michael's professional success and steady advancement at Thompson Manufacturing, Michael's resentment toward me intensified after his promotion to regional sales manager 18 months ago, when his increased confidence and higher salary seemed to reinforce his belief that family assistance was unnecessary, and that older relatives like me represented outdated thinking that could hold back ambitious families who were focused on modern approaches to success and social mobility. The promotion had included a significant salary increase and additional benefits that improved Michael and Sarah's financial position, though they continued to struggle with the costs of their desired lifestyle upgrades and their children's educational expenses that exceeded their available income, despite Michael's professional advancement and Sarah's steady teaching salary. Michael's new position at Thompson Manufacturing included responsibility for managing major client relationships and developing strategic sales initiatives that required travel and networking activities, which further boosted his professional confidence and his sense of importance within the business community, though he remained unaware of my ownership role in his career advancement and success. The growing disrespect in Michael's attitude toward me became more apparent during family gatherings, where his comments about generational differences and his dismissive responses to my opinions about various topics revealed his belief that my age and traditional perspectives made my contributions to family discussions irrelevant or counterproductive to their household's progress and development. Sarah's attempts to maintain respect for me while supporting her husband's leadership in their family created ongoing tension that was particularly evident during holiday celebrations and birthday parties, where Michael's impatience with family traditions and his preference for efficiency over sentimental family rituals caused friction that affected the children's enjoyment and the overall family atmosphere. The children's relationships with me as their grandfather had been warm and positive, until Michael began implementing restrictions on our activities and conversations, with rules about appropriate topics and time limits that were designed to minimize my influence on their thinking and their understanding of family relationships and traditional values that Michael considered outdated or potentially confusing. Michael's control over the children's access to me was exercised through scheduling conflicts, early departures from family events, and redirected conversations whenever I tried to share stories about family history or discuss values that differed from Michael's preferred approaches to child development and social preparation that emphasized competition, efficiency, and individual achievement over community connection and family loyalty. The most hurtful aspect of Michael's treatment was his increasing willingness to make disparaging comments about my relevance and value to their family, with suggestions that my presence was more of an obligation than a pleasure, and that family events would be more enjoyable and productive, without the complications created by accommodating older relatives who didn't share modern perspectives and priorities. Sarah's distress about the deteriorating relationship between her husband and her father was obvious, though her attempts to mediate and find compromises were consistently undermined by Michael's unwillingness to show respect for me or to acknowledge any positive contributions that I might make to their family's well-being and the children's development through traditional grandparent relationships and intergenerational connections. The financial pressures that continued to affect Michael and Sarah's household, despite his professional success, created additional stress that seemed to increase Michael's resentment toward family members who had achieved greater financial security through different approaches and different generations of work and investment, particularly when my comfortable retirement contrasted with their ongoing struggles to achieve their desired lifestyle improvements. Michael's awareness that I had substantial financial resources, while he and Sarah continued to face money pressures, seemed to increase his hostility rather than his appreciation for my offers of assistance, as he viewed my financial security as somehow illegitimate or unfairly obtained, compared to his own efforts to build wealth through contemporary professional achievement and modern business practices. The underlying tension about money and generational differences reached a crisis point 6 months ago, when Michael learned that I had been contributing anonymously to his children's college savings, accounts through deposits that appeared to come from an educational foundation, but which he discovered were actually funded by my personal contributions that I had arranged through my financial advisor to help secure the children's educational futures. Michael's reaction to discovering my secret college fund contributions was anger and accusations of manipulation, with claims that I was trying to buy influence over his children and create obligations that would undermine his parental authority, and his right to make decisions about his family's financial management and educational planning, without interference from grandparents who might have different values and expectations. The confrontation about the college fund contributions revealed the depth of Michael's resentment and his fundamental misunderstanding of grandparent motivations, as he interpreted my desire to help his children as an attempt to control or manipulate their family, rather than as an expression of love and commitment to ensuring that my grandchildren would have educational opportunities regardless of their parents' financial limitations. Sarah's support for my college fund contributions created additional conflict in her marriage, as Michael demanded that she choose between loyalty to her husband's vision of family independence and acceptance of her father's financial help that could benefit their children's futures, but might compromise Michael's sense of autonomy and control over his household's financial destiny. The college fund controversy established a pattern of Michael viewing any positive contribution I made to their family as a threat to his authority rather than as beneficial support, revealing his insecurity about his own ability to provide for his family and his need to reject help in order to maintain his self-image as the successful provider and decision-maker who didn't need assistance from older relatives. Michael's professional success at Thompson Manufacturing continued to advance during this period of family conflict, with additional responsibilities and recognition that reinforced his confidence, while remaining completely unaware that his career advancement was occurring within a company owned by the same father-in-law whom he was treating with increasing disrespect and hostility in family settings. The irony of Michael's situation became more pronounced as his workplace success at my company contrasted sharply with his family behavior, creating a dual existence where he was respectful and professional toward his supervisors and colleagues, while being dismissive and rude toward me during family interactions that revealed his true character and values. My decision to maintain anonymity about my ownership of Thompson Manufacturing had protected Michael from the knowledge that might have influenced his behavior, allowing his genuine workplace performance to be evaluated separately from family relationships, while also revealing his authentic attitude toward family members whom he perceived as having less power or relevance in his life. The observations I was able to make about Michael's professional conduct through my company's management reports showed that he was capable of appropriate respect and courtesy when it served his interests, which made his family disrespect more disappointing, because it demonstrated that his rude behavior toward me was a choice rather than an inability to understand appropriate interpersonal relationships and social expectations. Michael's colleagues and supervisors at Thompson Manufacturing consistently rated him highly for his professionalism and his collaborative approach to workplace relationships, creating a stark contrast with his family behavior that revealed his selective application of respect and courtesy based on his perception of people's importance to his personal advancement and success. The final escalation toward the devastating confrontation began 3 months ago when Michael started making more explicit statements about his belief that I was a burden on their family and that Sarah's obligations to me were interfering with their marriage and their ability to focus on their own goals and priorities without the complications created by extended family relationships and generational differences. Michael's complaints about my presence in their lives included specific grievances about holiday obligations, birthday celebrations, and regular family dinners that he characterized as inefficient uses of time that could be better spent on activities that would advance their family's social and professional networking, or provide more productive experiences for their children's development and preparation for competitive achievement. The escalating disrespect culminated in Michael's decision to deliver an ultimatum about my role in their family, which he announced during last Tuesday's dinner at Sarah's house in front of their children, and in a manner that was designed to humiliate me and establish his complete authority over family relationships and household decisions that would no longer accommodate my presence or involvement. Michael's ultimatum included his statement that I was nothing but a burden on their family, and that everyone would be better off if I just disappeared from their lives completely, delivered with a tone of finality that suggested he had already made irrevocable decisions about my exclusion from future family activities and my grandchildren's lives. The shock of Michael's public disrespect and his demand that I disappear from my own daughter's life was devastating and revealed the complete breakdown of any pretense of family courtesy or respect, while also creating an opportunity for me to reveal information about his professional situation that would demonstrate the consequences of his arrogant and cruel treatment of elderly family members. Sarah's horrified reaction to Michael's ultimatum was immediate and emotional, with her defense of me and her objections to his disrespectful language creating a family crisis that revealed the impossible position she had been placed in by her husband's hostility toward her father and his unwillingness to maintain basic civility in family relationships. The children's confusion and distress about the conflict between their father and their grandfather was heartbreaking and demonstrated the harmful effects of Michael's behavior on the next generation, who were learning lessons about respect for elderly relatives that contradicted the values that Sarah and I had tried to teach them about family loyalty and intergenerational relationships. My response to Michael's ultimatum was a calm request for a private conversation that would allow me to share some information about his professional situation that might help him understand the potential consequences of his attitude toward family relationships and his treatment of people whom he considered less important than himself or irrelevant to his success and advancement. Michael's confident agreement to a private conversation revealed his belief that he held all the power in our relationship and that any discussion would only confirm his authority to make decisions about family dynamics without considering my feelings or my relationship with Sarah and the children, while also providing him with an opportunity to deliver additional insults and ultimatums. The private conversation took place in Sarah's living room after the children had been sent to their rooms, and Sarah had reluctantly agreed to allow us to discuss Michael's demands without her direct involvement, though she remained nearby and was clearly distressed about the conflict and its potential impact on her marriage and her relationship with me. Michael's opening statements in our private conversation included repetitions of his belief that I was a burden on their family and detailed explanations of his vision for their future that would not include regular contact with me or my involvement in their children's lives, along with his expectation that Sarah would support his decision and prioritize their marriage over her relationship with her father. My response to Michael's statements was the presentation of documentation that revealed my ownership of Thompson Manufacturing and my role as his ultimate employer, along with detailed information about his salary, benefits, promotion history, and current position within the company structure that he had assumed, was based entirely on his merit and professional abilities. Michael's reaction to learning about my ownership of Thompson Manufacturing was immediate shock and disbelief, followed by growing horror as he realized that his entire career advancement and financial security were dependent on the continued goodwill of the same father-in-law, whom he had just insulted and dismissed as a worthless burden who should disappear from his family's life. The documentation I presented included organizational charts showing the corporate structure that led ultimately to my ownership, along with performance reviews and promotion records that demonstrated how his career had developed within my company, while he remained completely unaware of my involvement in his professional success and financial stability. Michael's attempts to process the revelation about my company ownership were accompanied by desperate calculations about the implications for his career and his family's financial security, as he realized that his disrespectful behavior toward me could potentially result in the loss of his job and the destruction of all the professional advancement that he had achieved over the past 8 years. The conversation continued with my explanation of how I had maintained anonymity about my business ownership in order to avoid nepotism concerns and to ensure that family relationships remained separate from professional evaluations, while also protecting Michael from any knowledge that might have influenced his workplace behavior or created uncomfortable dynamics between his family role and his career advancement. Michael's growing panic about his professional vulnerability was evident as he realized that his entire financial foundation and his ability to support his family were completely dependent on my continued willingness to maintain separation between family conflicts and business operations, a separation that his ultimatum about my disappearance had potentially jeopardized through his demonstration of poor character and judgment. My explanation of the company's policies and my commitment to fair employment practices provided some reassurance that his job security would not be immediately threatened by our family conflict, though I made it clear that his treatment of me had revealed character flaws that would be considered seriously if they ever affected his professional conduct or his relationships with colleagues and clients. The revelation about my company ownership also included information about Michael's potential for future advancement within Thompson Manufacturing, which had been planned based on his performance, but which would now need to be reconsidered in light of his demonstrated disrespect for family relationships and his willingness to be cruel toward elderly relatives who had actually contributed to his success. Michael's desperate attempts to apologize and retract his ultimatum were immediate and frantic, with promises to change his behavior and expressions of regret that were clearly motivated by his newfound awareness of his professional vulnerability, rather than genuine remorse for his disrespectful treatment of me or his harmful impact on family relationships. The apology attempts included detailed explanations of the stress and pressure that Michael claimed had influenced his behavior, along with requests for forgiveness and assurances that he would immediately change his approach to family relationships and demonstrate appropriate respect for me in all future interactions with Sarah and the children. My response to Michael's panic and his desperate apologies was measured and focused on the need for genuine behavioral change rather than temporary adjustments motivated by fear of professional consequences, with clear expectations that any improvement in his treatment of me would need to be sustained and authentic, rather than performative and self-serving. The conversation concluded with my statement that Michael's employment at Thompson Manufacturing would continue based on his professional performance and conduct, but that his awareness of my ownership would serve as a permanent reminder that disrespecting elderly family members can have unexpected consequences, and that character flaws revealed in family settings might have broader implications for personal and professional relationships. Michael's return to the family dinner was subdued and apologetic, with immediate changes in his tone and behavior toward me that were obvious to Sarah and the children, though the sincerity of his transformation remained questionable given his clear motivation to protect his career and financial security rather than genuine recognition of his inappropriate behavior. Sarah's relief about the apparent resolution of the conflict was evident, though she remained curious about the private conversation that had produced such dramatic changes in Michael's attitude, and her questions about what had transpired revealed her awareness that something significant had occurred to shift the power dynamics in our family relationship. The immediate aftermath of the revelation included Michael's overcorrection toward excessive politeness and deference that was almost as uncomfortable as his previous disrespect, creating an artificial family dynamic that would require time and genuine effort to develop into authentic respect and appropriate family relationships based on mutual consideration rather than fear of professional consequences. Michael's behavior during subsequent family gatherings showed continued awareness of his vulnerable position, with careful attention to his treatment of me and obvious efforts to demonstrate respect and appreciation that contrasted sharply with his previous attitude, though the authenticity of these changes remained to be evaluated over time. The children's response to the improved family atmosphere was positive and immediate, with renewed opportunities for grandfather-grandchild relationships that had been restricted by Michael's previous hostility, allowing for restoration of family traditions and intergenerational connections that benefited their emotional development and family identity. Sarah's satisfaction with the resolution of our conflict was accompanied by her growing awareness that her father possessed greater resources and influence than she had realized, leading to increased respect for my judgment and my ability to handle difficult situations through patience and strategic thinking, rather than confrontational approaches that might have escalated family tensions. The long-term implications of Michael's discovery about my company ownership extended beyond immediate family dynamics to his understanding of success and merit, as he realized that his professional advancement had occurred within a context that included family connections that he had been unaware of, though his promotions and responsibilities had been based on legitimate performance and achievements. Michael's workplace behavior following the revelation showed increased professionalism and awareness that his family relationships might be known to his supervisors and colleagues, creating additional motivation for maintaining high standards of conduct and performance that would reflect positively on his character and his family relationships. The resolution of our family conflict through the revelation of my company ownership provided a model for addressing disrespect and family problems through patient planning and strategic disclosure, rather than immediate confrontation, demonstrating that elderly family members might have more resources and influence than younger relatives assume based on superficial assessments of power and relevance. Today, 6 months after Michael's ultimatum and the subsequent revelation of my company ownership, our family relationships have stabilized into patterns of genuine respect and appreciation, with Michael's behavior showing sustained improvement that appears to be developing into authentic recognition of my value as a family member rather than just fear-motivated politeness. Michael's continued success at Thompson Manufacturing has been maintained through his professional competence and improved character awareness, while his family behavior has demonstrated that people can change their attitudes and treatment of others when they understand the broader context of relationships and the potential consequences of disrespectful behavior. The experience has strengthened my relationship with Sarah and my grandchildren, while teaching important lessons about respect for elderly relatives and the complex dynamics that can exist between family relationships and professional success, creating educational opportunities for the next generation about character, consequence, and the importance of treating all family members with dignity regardless of perceived power or relevance. If you like this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left.